What if we could just start over? With the internet, I mean. Not just another update, but a total rebuild from the ground up. Well, that's the incredibly ambitious goal of a project called Linkspreed, and they're trying to build what they call Web4. But to even get your head around that, you've got to start with the problem they're trying to fix.
So let's start with that fundamental problem. Think about it. Almost every new platform, every app, every social network, their survival depends on one thing, right? Getting users. They spend literally billions of dollars to acquire you and me, all fighting for a little slice of our attention. Linkspreed looks at that and asks, why? They question that whole model from the get-go.
And that question leads to their big kind of radical idea. Instead of platforms building all this stuff, all this infrastructure, and then begging us to come use it, what if we, our identity, were the infrastructure? It completely flips the script on how we think about the digital world.
All right, so let's dig into that. To really get why this is such a big deal, we've got to look at the cracks in the foundation of the web we use every day. Turns out, the way it's built causes some serious headaches for pretty much everyone. Creators, businesses, you name it.
Okay, so here's the breakdown. The web today, it's basically dominated by a handful of giant central towers. They're the ones who own the relationship with the users, not the people actually creating the content. So let's say you build a huge following on one of their platforms. Guess what? You end up having to pay them a success tax just to talk to the audience you built. And don't even get me started on data ownership. We have almost none. It's all locked up tight inside their digital fortresses. So, how does Linkspreed plan to fix this mess? Well, this is the crucial part. It's all about moving from a world of these walled gardens, these separate platforms, to one single decentralized protocol. And at the absolute center of it all, your identity. The cornerstone of this whole thing, the absolute bedrock, is something they call the Universal Integrated Identity, or UID for short. Just think of it like one universal key for everything on the internet, a key that you and only you control. Imagine that. No more creating hundreds of different accounts, no more forgetting a million passwords. Your one identity becomes the front door to everything.
Okay, that sounds cool in theory, but what does it actually do? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Let's look at some real-world examples. Imagine using your UID to pay for stuff. Since it's tied directly to your identity, it could be way more secure and way faster for handling payments. You might not even need to lean on the old-school credit card system for every little thing.
Or what about getting around town? Instead of fumbling for a Metro card or opening a specific app, your UID could just be your universal pass. It would just seamlessly connect your identity to all the transit services you use.
And it goes even further, right into how we communicate. With a UID, you could have a unique caller ID that has nothing to do with a phone number. It's a huge idea. Really, it's about separating our ability to talk to each other from the big companies that own all the phone lines.
Okay, so we get it. UID is the foundation, it's the big idea. But how do you build a whole new internet on top of just an identity system? Well, Linkspreed has thought this through. They've laid out a whole 7-layer blueprint, a complete tech stack that's designed to replace, well, pretty much everything.
So let's just quickly walk through this stack. It all starts with Layer 1, UID, that universal identity we've been talking about. Then you got Layer 2, Vivon, for physical access. Layer 3, Arctic, that's the decentralized computing brain. Layer 4 is Helion, for smart routing. Layer 5, Trive, gives out free software tools. Layer 6, Atrium, is where you get these super apps. And it all leads up to Layer 7, Winix, which is their own hardware. The key thing here is that each layer builds right on top of the last.
Now let's zoom in on one of those layers for a second. Layer 3, Arctic, because this really shows you the heart of the change. Right now, the internet runs on these gigantic, corporate-owned data centers. Arctic's vision? To blow that up and replace it with a network of thousands, maybe millions, of small devices owned by us, regular people. These consumer nodes would all chip in to provide the power and storage for the whole network. You see the shift? It's from corporate-owned to user-powered.
Okay, so what can you do with this new infrastructure? Let's jump up to Layer 5, Trive. This is basically the creator's toolkit. It's packed with free, unlimited software, everything from business tools to something called a Web4 studio that lets you spin up your own social network in like seconds. And here's the kicker. It all hooks into UUID for logins and the Arctic blockchain for security. What does that mean? It means the creators, not some giant tech company, are the ones who truly own their platforms.
So what are you building with all these tools? Super apps. And the best way to understand Layer 6, Atrium, is to use their own comparison. They say it's like WeChat with better UI/UX, more AI, and decentralization. So think about that. An all-in-one hub for your entire digital life. But it's smarter, works better, and, the most important part, it's not controlled by a single company. You're in charge.
And finally, we get to Layer 7. This is where the digital stuff breaks into the real world with Winx hardware. We're talking a phone that's built from the ground up around your UID, AR glasses that are pulling data directly from your super apps, a smart ring to control it all. Even something called a W4 book, which is not just a laptop, it's your own personal microserver that doubles as a node, feeding power back into that ARCT network. It really drives the point home. You're not just a user of the network anymore, you are the network.
So, wow, that is a massive vision. But let's be real. Is it just a cool idea on a slide deck, or is there a real plan to make it happen? Let's take a look at how they're planning to go from pitch deck to actual working protocol.
And you know what? The business plan is every bit as ambitious as the tech. They're looking at a $500 million market opportunity right out of the gate. They're aiming to be profitable in just 12 months, and they're targeting 50,000 early adopters to get that critical mass, to get the ball rolling.
So how do they pull it off? Here's the core strategy. They're not trying to boil the ocean and build all 7 layers at once. That would be insane. No. The plan is to focus on just 2 things first. Layer 1, the UID, and Layer 6, the super apps. The logic is actually pretty simple. If you can get people to adopt your identity system and your apps, you've won the user base. And once you have the users, rolling out all the deeper stuff, the infrastructure, the hardware, gets a whole lot easier.
And get this, they're not trying to do this in a vacuum. They've got some major collaborations that give this whole plan some serious weight. They're working with Wix on business communities. They're partnering with 98 different towns in Denmark to build out regional social networks. They're even running simulations with the UAE to see if UID could actually replace national ID cards by 2027. So yeah, this is not just a theory on a whiteboard. This is being tested in the real world right now.
So that leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? Is this the blueprint for the future? A truly free, truly sovereign web where we're all in control? Or by building every single thing from the ground up, from your identity all the way to the phone in your hand, are they just setting the stage for a new, even more powerful kind of monopoly? That's really the core tension here, and it's a question we've got to keep in mind as we watch them try to rebuild our entire digital world one layer at a time.